So welcome to the new now high-end highness wow factor evolution. I am Majesty AliNICOLE Wow, and I'm excited to be back with you and to share more about leveling up for your new now high-end success and how important this is, especially during this time. And so I know that there are a lot of experts out there that talk about, high ticket sales and definitely show off and display how they've been successful in terms of selling different products and programs. And then they want to turn around and show you how to have that same success. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but in the evolution of the progression of brands and businesses, there's more of a customization that comes in for people to be able to do sort of their own thing. And though experts have experience and they are showing you what they've done, but what got them to their success won't necessarily get you to yours, not in that traditional linear way. Now, previously, sometimes that would happen where a lot of people actually would benefit from that information and find that it was successful and helpful for them. But as time progresses and we continue to evolve in the marketplace, each individual is going to find that there's going to be this unique individuality where you can't really go by cookie cutter frameworks. So following people's templates or so would not be to your highest advantage. However, the information that they're sharing still could be beneficial because it can serve as trigger prompts for you. And also there's an opportunity for you to take maybe an element or aspect of that and leverage it. And I know a lot of times you'll hear experts say, well, no, you have to do it this way. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And under the old framework, that's true to a certain extent, because even what they've been sharing has not actually been as beneficial for as many people as they try to make it seem. There are, yes, they show the success stories for sure, and that's a great thing. But there's also a lot of unsuccessful stories that you don't hear about. And what I know to be true is those actually a lot of times outweigh the greater successes that are being displayed. Now, let me just speak to this for a moment, just in terms of, again, why it's not such a bad thing, because there are going to be just certain people who are targets for, and when I say targets, I mean this in a good way, meaning people who are for specific products. It's aligned for them. Others, it isn't aligned for them. But people will spend a lot of money buying products that aren't aligned for them, but there's still an opportunity to make that work for you, to make it work. So if you've actually had the experience of buying products or enrolling in programs of others, and you haven't seen the success around that, and you're like, I spent money here, and what they said that would happen in terms of results has not happened for me, and I actually did do it the way they said to do it, right? So the thing about it is you're not here to do it the way someone else said that you need to do it. But again, it doesn't mean that they don't have some information that could be beneficial for you, even if it is how to language certain things and you learn how to actually talk, or maybe you learn how to present a certain way. So you want to look at those different aspects and elements of what you already have, the experience that hasn't worked for you up to this point, and look at what are the golden nuggets of this, and then what is the evolution. Because that's what you're going to leverage in terms of your new now high-end success advantage, all right? And leveling up in this way so that you can take all of your journey and bring it to not necessarily the forefront, but we want to look at it from the evolution. So what is it that you've learned? And certainly if you've bought into many products and programs and it hasn't worked for you, you've certainly learned that you don't need to just put your faith and trust in an expert or a product and think that it's going to be the savior of your situation, right? Because anytime you're actually looking to anything outside of your unique experience to be the savior of your situation, you are already at a default. You're already operating from a deficit. And so I want to speak, to the power, of the evolution of Christ and not from a religious context. And I know that in the traditional paradigm, we're taught that Christ was the Savior, the Messiah, and certainly that was a core component and dimension in terms of his operation and his expression. But there's more to him, so to speak, than meets the eye. So in the evolution is, in my house, there are many mansions. So let's just look at that's a level, that's a mansion, and that's the story in that level of the mansion. But in the evolution, you go to another room and then you meet a different vibration, a different encounter of that expression. And so then you have to find out, so what is the story here? And what is the context here? The reason why this is important, even is how you receive information, is because if you're trying to transfer what the premise is on that trajectory and level it out and leverage it in the new context, you're going to find it to be at a faulty disadvantage. Until you actually look at it through evolutionary eyes, then yeah, you're going to be stuck. So how do you take information that you've learned in context and experience, and now look at what is the evolution, what actually crosses over or I carry with me into this next level? What is the evolution? What is the metamorphosis? What is the butterfly and not the caterpillar? And I often teach in my trainings that the caterpillar is not, the butterfly is not the journey. The journey is not the butterfly, okay? The journey has built content and context, yes, but you have to look at what has developed. So in terms of marrying this with what you have learned that didn't work for you, is that you learn, of course, better ways not to do it, but again, not to put your faith and trust, not to look at anything from being, oh, it's the savior complex, for me. And that's the part I want to bring up in terms of the Christ context, is that as you continue to evolve, you don't stick to that same premise without it having the evolution. So meaning that the embodiment and the empowerment that's in you, you have to be able to bring that forth. So in Ephesians 3:20, it talks about, now unto him who is able to do exceedingly above and beyond anything I can ask, imagine, or think, according to the power that be at work within me. So that's the part that you have to look at, is the power that's at work, the empowerment that's at work within you. That would be the Christ context within you in that empowerment state, not the savior state, not the deliverer state, not the rescuer state, the empowerment, the embodiment of the God force within you. So when you look at that from a business standpoint and you get into the higher end, that's the premise that you have to spring forth from, because it's only in the evolved state of you at this time, the metamorphosized state, is what is going to be optimizing your experience as it relates to the new now high-end success, operating in this new now testament of business, life and business expression from a high-end vantage point. So you want to focus there. So the reason why this is important is because you only know what you know up until this point. And people are really glued to familiarity, whether they want to be or not. And though we try to shift people from their comfort zones and tell them to leave the land of familiarity, and that's all well and good, but what happens is people don't make that big of a leap. They don't make that big shift. So how do you bridge the gap there, right? How do you actually give them a context to springboard from. You got to create a launching pad. So in creating the launching pad is that you want them to launch from the evolved state. So we can look at what exists, but we have to see it in a different context. So even looking at your business or the products that you offer, your financial frameworks, how do you now see that from the butterfly vantage point, the evolved vantage point, an eagle eye vantage point, and then springboard from there? Now, listen what I said. Springboard is a launch pad. That means you lift off from there, but that's not necessarily lifting off with you. Hear me when I say that, all right? It's a launch pad, springboard for liftoff. But what is actually lifting off? What is actually lifting off? The rocket is not the launch pad, all right? Hear me when I say that. This is important. So again, I want you to look at everything you lived up into this point of business, however, and everything that hasn't worked out, everything that has worked and hasn't worked. And I want you to put them side by side, because simultaneously they will show you the evolution of this. The next innovation of you that's coming forth for new now high-end success is not going to be based on the stories before of how you built your success. There's a new premise, but you will leverage what has been that's in this evolutionary format, which means it's what is now, to be the launch and to be the liftoff. But do not start to build your brand and context around that liftoff, around that launch, I should say, that launching pad. Find out now what is actually you that is launching anew, because that is going to be in this new now high-end state of beingness and expression. That's what's going to bring you the holistic profitability for impact and income that then builds this next level of what needs to be presented from a more permanent standpoint in your experience. So I just wanted to come forth and just talk about this during this time, so that you can be fully in this new now potential that is ready to just come forth, ready to be extracted. The diamond of you is ready to go from presentable to polished. You've already been extracted, so to speak, but now we have to position you for the higher end value advantage in the marketplace, so that you can ultimately be everything that you came to be, during this time. So take this not just for food for thought, but to implement, get into action, and take yourself through this process so that you can discover, what this new now high-end success has for you. Well, this is your high-end highness, your majesty here. And I hope that I have shared tremendous value with you today, that you found resonance with this, and that you would definitely go away and start soaring to new heights in your high-end success as you level up and take the next necessary steps to make that happen. All right, so I look forward to being back with you soon. Take care and stay blessed.